Hey you guys, how you doing? Looks like I finally made it. How's the sound quality, guys? Mike, how you doing? John and Roy, how's the sound today? Because I'm kind of weary about it, just doing two cameras at one time. What do you guys think? So Mike, I'm glad you're here. John says the sound is good, so that's good. Picture quality's not too bad, right? So we are here for part 5, and we're moving along at a normal pace. It's not anything like fast or slow. I just think we're taking our time, and it's always best to take our time than to rush through it. Hey Todd, how you doing all the way from San Diego? Probably the weather is probably around 80 degrees and sunny today. We all love where you live. I think that's the best place ever. Now, I want to show you about when we're in like maybe between 40 and 90% of the painting. You want to have the 2 airbrush method. So at this point today, since I'm not going in with the dark mixture just yet, I'm going to have this airbrush, which is the Extreme Patriot Arrow. It has the light mixture. This one, which is Extreme Patriot 105, has the medium mixture. So I like to have a 2 airbrush system. Brad, how's it going? Good to see you. Hey, Steve and Patty, good to see you guys. So glad you can make it. So with that 2 airbrush system, I'm really free to go back and forth. I'm not trying to cut corners by, maybe using the medium mixture when I should use the light mixture and vice versa. So this way you still are thinking exactly what you want when you want, and that's really important. So yes, so that is, thank you, Roy. Roy says the sound is good. That's comforting. So thank you, Tone. How you doing? Good to see you. Got the two cameras set up here, and I think it's good. You can watch me work while I'm working on the big screen. So it's a little bit extra, I think, but I think that is something that would be good. So I'm glad you all made it. We're not all like, on channel NBC looking to see what's going on in Arizona. So this is good. So we're here. We're not going to think about anything but art today, which is, to me, just fine, So no time like the present. Remember when you begin your painting session, you always want to start with the light mixture, and the reason being is because with the light mixture, it's like warm-ups. You're not going too dark. If you're making a mistake, it's easy to fix. If you start out the beginning of your session cold and go in with the dark mixture, well, you'll know soon enough why I don't do that, because it is quite a disaster, and oh, Mike says he has awesome news. The inside of the Hostess boxes is an excellent surface for airbrushing. Wow, that's great. And I know, we had somebody here who was also saying about how cereal boxes are also good too, right? And so that's really cool. So, hey, what's up, old rude crew dude? How you doing? So glad you're here. Thank you so much for coming by. I really appreciate that. And Mike's here for the second time. I really appreciate that as well. So here we are with the light mixture. And we're still, believe it or not, we're still kind of sketching around. We're just making sure we get the shapes correctly. And then we slowly go darker once we are comfortable with the shapes. You know what I mean? So you don't want to go in too fast, So you want to tread lightly, but try and be confident and aware of what you're doing. Go. And so what I mean by going from the light mixture to the medium mixture is, like, let's say you see something right away and you want to hit that. Hey, Exoneration! How you doing? Good to see you, Exoneration. That is so great to see you. I'm so glad you're here, and thank you so much. Now, since I could have the two airbrush method, I can go straight in with my medium mixture. So how cool is that? So I can see right here I want to darken it a bit, and I can jump into the medium mixture. If I wasn't doing the two airbrush method, it would be a lot more difficult because I would try and do with the light mixture, which is much easier to accomplish with the medium mixture where we are now. Now what we can do is we have our eraser here. Mike S, how's it going? Good to see ya. So we got two mics here. That's great. So we have this particular this is the Mono Extreme Patriot Zero, and we're just going to make sure that we represent this tooth correctly. Even though a lot of it's in shadow, I don't want any lines that don't belong there, right? If it's clean, I want it to be clean. So I'm going to go back in with the light mixture. There we go. Increase your distance if you want a lighter tone, you can do that, and also nice gradation. Very soft edged over here. The values are very close, and that's what you really want to see. You want to see those values that are close, and definitely express that in your airbrush painting. And so, I don't know, what do you got there, Steve? Any IPAs from Ohio? So as you can see, I'm moving around quite a lot, and that's basically because I don't want to get fixated in one area, especially because all the values that you're working on are interdependent, you know? So if you go too dark here, it'll throw everything off, you know, like a balancing act. So you definitely want to make sure that when you're working in the mouth, you stop for a while and then maybe come back down here. Right? And then you move around. Very important to move around. So crucial. Wow, you bought the harder in steam back. That's a great brush. Great job. See, we're just darkening and bringing those values closer to one another. So you always want to make sure you're seeing the forest before the trees. The trees come next, but you have to get that forest down. And that's what we're doing, the whole forest, right? So, and then things will start cleaning up and softening up, and edges softening up and all of that. But right now you have to make sure you get those harder edges first, you know? So that's very, very important. And let's see here. Now I'm going to go with the medium mixture because it's a little bit darker here. So that's why the two airbrush method is so crucial. And remember always, you guys know the deal, perpendicular and not parallel. 1 minute, 1 second rule, right? You're going to look first and then you're going to paint. One second you look, 1 second you paint. Very, very important. Wipe off your freehand shield in between painting, because there will be some paint that actually accumulates on here, and you don't want to just go ahead and move it and put ink or paint where it doesn't belong. So always make sure your freehand shield is very clean. Very important. Oh, yeah, Mike, definitely. The Extreme Patriot Arrow is a great airbrush. I love it. It's my favorite in the world, and so I appreciate that. Oh, so how? What do you think, Art Dude? Do you really enjoy the Extreme Patriot Arrow? Has it arrived yet? So with the medium mixture, you see I can get a little more forceful, right? Which is really good. And I do have some deeper tones, and this is part 5, so we're going to start putting in some deeper tones as we go. And we're moving around quite fast now, which is very important. And then we start darkening things up. Everything will lighten up, and then we'll darken things up, and then everything will lighten up, and we'll just continue that process, which is very important. May seem like, kind of tedious at first, but the results are really great. You're not spending your time trying to fix your mistakes. And that's the most important thing, Oh, you haven't used it yet. Oh, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it, I'm just going to dust over maybe about 3 inches from the surface. And let's come over here. So this is basically how I would react in real time when I'm on my own. I'm basically just moving around and not getting too involved in one area. So I'm in the light mixture, and then I can move. Actually, I was in the medium mixture, forgive me. Oh, fantastic. That's great. Any day. That can't wait. That's fantastic there, Art Dude. That's going to be wonderful. And let's just move her down just a little bit. And so you can see right now I could definitely darken up this area a little bit, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to darken this dark. And once we do that, we'll see that this area starts to lighten up. So we're going to come in a little further away with the medium mixture. And then we're going to move on over to the light mixture. And I'm going to be very far away from the surface. So you can see what looked like it was too dark in the forehead turned out to be too light once we darkened this darkest dark here. And we're still in the medium mixture, so you can still see that maybe things look dark, but in reality they're very light, because once we graduate to that dark mixture, then everything will change. Go. So right here, when we come in with the dark mixture, you'll see a big difference. So that's going to be something to look for. So with the light mixture, I'm just going to sculpt out the cartilage in her nose here. So right now it's basically sculpting three-dimensional qualities and stuff like that, you know, so it's really important. Oh, so our dude said that he just started airbrushing this year. It's been so far fun so far, and you can see some of the results on Instagram. Oh, I'm looking forward to that. Oh, so Brad wants me. Oh, definitely, Brad. So one of the things that I do with the modifications is just for one thing, I changed this here, which is the backing of the Sotar, and I removed the backing of the Extreme Patriot Arrow, meaning the Extreme Patriot Arrow backing goes all the way over here. When you're airbrushing more, you need to get to that needle really fast. So I can just loosen the chucking nut and pull out that needle. 1, 2, 3. That's why I have that there. Also, I went ahead and got rid of that really horrible tall trigger. I don't care who you are. If you're working every day, if you're serious, you're going to get rid of that tall trigger. So when you get the airbrush, just do yourself a favor and believe me, and go ahead and get rid of that tall trigger, please. And this little trigger is only like $6, so that's pretty cool. And so that's just a couple of my modifications. I always put a Mac valve on there along with my pack valve. And then with the pack valve, sometimes you might hit it and it might move on you, and that can be frustrating. So a lot of my people here, Brad included, and my guests, we decided that if you take a spring from, let's say, a ballpoint pen, and you only cut it to where there's 2 coils, you can undo this, pull it all the way out, make sure you're doing this with a clean airbrush, and put that in there, those 2 springs, and then tighten it, and this will be really tight. And so that's another modification. So those are 2 things that are really great. Wendy, how you doing? Good to see you. Oh, wow. So you're out of town and your phone went out, charging it a bit. Oh, cool. Okay. So I'm glad you're here. So thanks so much for coming, Wendy. It's always a pleasure. So right now we're just going to start darkening things up again. See right here, this is not white. It appeared white in the beginning, but now we can definitely see it's not white. So we're just going to darken this up here. And let's see if I can darken up the image, because I think right now it's a little bit light as compared to what we have here in real life. So that's good. Oh, wow, and out to eat. That's always good. What kind of food was it, Wendy? Mexican? So right now I'm just going to do this dark right here. So the coils on this pack valve actually makes it more stable, and so if you tap it, it doesn't move. Before, when you don't put that coils on, it's very volatile and it moves. So it's much better, you know. My guest says taco cake. Wow, that's interesting. Hey Patrick, how you doing? Good to see you. Montreal is in the house. Yes, we don't, right? We have no idea who the president is yet, and that's a real interesting times we live in. That's all I could say, right? Interesting times. Now here we're going to revisit that with white, of course, so we'll see that we'll able to do that later. And then we'll come in with the medium mixture. And let's see if we can just hit this dark line here. I think this is the time that we put our glasses on. There we go. And this is where aim really comes in. You don't want to stay in an area too long because you'll get wicked spidering. So you got to make sure you don't go back until it's dry. Right? So that's something you don't want to do. And the 1 second rule keeps me honest. So that you're going to see me do that a lot. Very true, my guest. That's true. And it does really make it even better, and that's what I love about it. You know, it makes it much better. And those are some of the modifications that I do. Now we may go pretty soon straight into the dark mixture, so we'll go from medium to dark mixture so we can go back and forth. So we still do the 2 airbrush method. It's just you know, we are, as we go further, the 2 airbrush method will be medium and dark as opposed to light and medium, because we're getting to the point where everything's pretty much sketched out, right guys? You know. Oh yes, actually an extreme. So Duracoat Asotar. Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. Thank you, Steve. From your lips to God's ears. That's what I hope too. And so my guest used a cigarette lighter spring. And Patty says, do you have a water filter on your airline? I actually don't. Out of all the years I've been doing it, I had it mess up twice. And so for me, if it only does twice, I'm okay with it. You know, I just don't feel comfortable having that water line on there. I feel comfortable the way it is. I'm going to add something else on. So the thing is, if it's not broken, I don't fix it, you know? Oh, Mike says he likes the chrome better. I see. Yeah, the chrome has a good look too. Yeah, and I know good things are gonna happen, Steve. You know, but you mentioning stuff like that is really great. So, good things are gonna happen. I just have to be patient. That's all. And just work hard, right? Work hard, work smart, they say. Still with the medium mixture, I'm going to go on the inside of this contour, and I'm just going to hit this dark, but not until I look for a second and paint for a second. And I can see right here, this is much darker. So pretty soon we're getting ready for the dark mixture. And the dark mixture is really going to start to clarify things for us. Because right now everything's still a little sketchy. But if I do the 1 second rule, I'm not guessing, right? So I'm looking for a second, and then I'm painting. Looking for the second, keeping the air down. Looking for a second, then pull back on the trigger. Look for a second, then pull back on the trigger. You see that? So I'm not, I don't have the air going on and I'm looking and then painting. So I have that thing where I have the air down, I'm looking, and then I see for a second, then I paint for a second, then I stop again, keeping the air down, and sort of get into that cadence, Brad says he thinks Ken needs to retain Tim as research and development. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. And let's see. Wow, look at that. That is great. All right, Art Dude. That's fantastic. What do you think? Like 2 coils, right? That's all I needed was 2 coils, and it worked great. So that's fantastic. And Mike doesn't like the black color. So no time like the present. I'm going to start going in with the dark mixture. So this is my medium mixture airbrush. So now it's going to be airbrush number 1. It was airbrush number 2. This is a light medium mixture airbrush right here. So what I'm going to do is, remember when we're going from a lighter mixture to a darker mixture, you don't have to clean out the cup because a light mixture, as long as you spray it all out, any residual is not going to affect the dark mixture or the darker mixture, right? So let's go ahead and put some dark mixture in here. See right here? See the 2 airbrush method along with the 2 camera method, you can actually see what I'm doing. It's all about you guys, and girls. It's all about you. It's all about how I can teach you more. And if I keep things in perspective of why I'm doing it, I'll be okay. You'll be okay. We'll all be okay. Yes. Just a couple. Look at how quick Art Dude learns. Wow. That's fantastic. So that's great. So now we are in dark mixture, and you know what that means. Now it's getting real up in here. So let's go ahead and start where we began. So we're going to start with the dark mixture where we began, which is our focus, right? So that's what you do. It's all centered on her eyes. Look for a second, paint for a second. And as I want to blend out, you get the most beautiful blend when you increase the distance on your airbrush. Always remember that. So here you see with the dark mixture, things really start to ramp up. So I'm going to work on this part of the eye, and you can see how the values start deepening up in the midtones because we darkened the darkest dark. So you see how that works. So, and then we are going to, what we do in one eye, we do in the next eye. So let's go ahead and blow her up. Well, you want to blow her up, of course. I don't want to do that to her. But we are going to focus in tight to her. I think that's a better way of putting it. And let's go ahead and darken where we began. So you see how it's a slow progression, right? It really is. Now I'm not going dark crazy. I'm going to make sure where I put anything in dark, I see it first with the 1-second rule. See, when I darken the iris and the pupil, everything else is going to darken around her. It's a natural progression of things. And you see how dark this is over here. And then once we start putting in this dark, when you have the adjacent values next to each other, they have to darken out as well. So that's how you get clarity as you go darker. And if anything doesn't make sense or you have any questions, please let me know. That's what the live streams are for, to help you guys out, and girls. Okay, moving over to the medium mixture real quick. Let's see the questions. Brad says, slow, but it all comes together in the end. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Our dude says, when will you start a new portrait? That way you can follow along with me. Oh, yes. I think probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks, we should start a new one. So that's cool. Stay tuned for that. So once this is done, that's when I start the next one, Art Dude. So you see how the values are darkening up adjacent to that eye. And so when you're working and you see a value disparity that isn't there in the reference, then that's when you make those changes, because once you darken in other areas, like throwing a pebble in a still pond, it's just going to ripple out. And so once you darken an area, everything's going to ripple out and things are going to darken all over the place. And also you have to make sure you get rid of any kind of harsh value changes. So you see how she darkens up, right? So that's really important. So still, go back to our dark mixture and let's darken up this eyebrow here. And believe it or not, at this stage, I believe that overspray is your friend. So let it happen a little bit. Go. And we'll just darken up here. And you can see how things like really soften up in the values being very close to one another, right? That's the thing. You have to recognize when values are too far away from each other and when they are closer to one another. And, oh great, gives them time to get new parts. Oh great, fantastic. And also, Art Dude, there are a lot of videos on my YouTube channel where you go from part 1 to 5. And I kept them on there. So that's cool. So look out for them, my friend. Okay, so now we're in the dark mixture and we darkened up this area. Let's do the same with this eyebrow here. A little bit more. And same over here. We can enrich this area, this dark, which is the cast shadow of the hair onto the forehead here. Increasing my distance as I go further over towards the light area. See, that is how I get the most beautiful gradations. I don't do the work. I let the airbrush do the work. Yes, I did get your email. I got to get back to you. It's just been a crazy week, Mike. But yeah, that was a beautiful picture you sent. That's for sure. And over here, we have some really nice darks over here. And I think we could use the freehand shield, perpendicular and not parallel. Clean that freehand shield off before you continue, because as you're working, you're building up ink. And like I always say, you don't want to reposition that ink, that's for sure. And so once we darken this area with the dark mixture, you're starting to see that things are really going to lighten up where we, right next to where we darken, right? So things are definitely going to lighten up. And that's when we got to come in and darken everything up, just catch up with what everything else is going on. Over here we have some darks. We're going to go ahead and put that in. There we go. And then we have a nice dark over here. So we got some dark accents here and there. That's really going to help, you know, strengthen this piece. We're going to dust over this whole iris here. Same thing here. Dust over it. Sort of kill some of the contrast that doesn't belong. Am I right? So here we have the nostrils, and we definitely can darken them up a little bit. So you see how we're moving down? That's what we're doing. And now it softens up. What looked harsh before now begins to soften up. You see that, guys? Okay, so you see as we're darkening these areas, things start to get more clarity as to where they lie on the value scale. And always double check, you know, never go the easy route, okay? Always be hard on yourself as far as where you think you need to go with a value, right? Don't trust your first instincts. They're usually wrong when it comes to painting realistically, to paint what you see. First instincts are usually wrong. And that's just my own feelings about me painting for a lot of years. I'm not going to go over calculate how old I am or something like that. So I'm too vain for that. And so let's see. So Patty says, Artu, do you have any of my ink yet? Oh, cool. And been checking them out. Absolutely amazing work. Oh, wow. Cool. Yes, that's the thing. So that is very true that sometimes it takes a little getting the hang of it, but you guys always have me if you have any questions, right? Okay, so you see how we darken the nose area. I'm going to go back to the medium mixture because there are some more subtle areas that I can build up slowly. With the dark accents, yes, the dark mixture really does work, but real subtle areas like the tip of her nose, I'm sorry, you definitely want to go slower with that. So you go slower with the medium mixture than the dark mixture, and you go slower in developing things with the light mixture than you do the medium mixture. So it has to be a slow building up. Remember, guys, I'm only able to do this now because I built it up with the light mixture, and now I can just come in with the medium mixture. You always want to look and say, okay, I could see where, you know, the value range is too high, so you have to bring that value range down. Same thing in here. The disparity between the values as you develop a painting usually are a lot further away. Meaning that you have actually, so instead of having a value 7 and a 9, as you go further you'll have a value 7 and an 8. So the subtlety grows as you paint further. Hey, what's up, gaming? How's it going? I use the California Air Tools. I believe it's a 6-gallon, and it's really fantastic. I highly recommend it. It's about 50 decibels, and I usually run it at 25 PSA gaming, so I hope that helps. Wow, that's true. That's definitely it, Brad. So you are right now. Oh, hey, Steve, thank you for saying that they're the best. I appreciate it. And Steve, it says that your order came in today. Is that correct? I believe my tracking said. If you can just confirm that, that would be really cool to load off my mind there, sir. And right here, I'm going to work on some detail here. So it's a lot easier at this stage to work in the medium mixture because we set everything up in parts 1 through 4 with the light mixture. We hardly even touched the medium mixture before. So that's how that's happening. Now over here, I can see we can darken her nose here, the bridge of her nose, or we'll just darken that and definitely bring those values closer to one another. And of course we'll clarify things with the eraser as we go. And once we come in with that light mixture, the white pastel, that's when things are going to explode in a good way. In a very good way. So just, everything looks light until you're right there. And once you hit that, you're in great shape. Now we're going to look at the value difference from this side to that side, right? So you can see how darker it is here than over here. But there are some areas of dark right here. And how you find the values in the late stage is you'll say, okay, where else in the painting has a similar value that I'm looking for here? And I would actually say like right over here. So I see that value right there, and I'm just going to apply it right in that one spot using the 1 second rule. So you see that's how you hit the value you're looking for. And we're still in the medium mixture because we're doing a lot of subtlety. And we're setting up a highlight over here. Much darker over here. So we're looking at value disparity and just getting more subtle and more succinct with them. Oh, not today, but out here, oh, I see. Because it said it arrived, but still it might not be actually at your place. So I understand, definitely. go. So now we're starting to come in here and really getting a sense of her personality a little bit more each time. Each pass, things get a little bit more complete. We can even come in with the, well, we'll stay with the medium mixture. Down the line, I'm thinking in the middle, in the end scheme of the painting. So this is something I'm thinking about. I'm going to be testing a tree airbrush method towards the very end of the painting, where I could still jump into the light mixture if I need to for super subtlety. But that's something that's in development right now. Okay, we have a semi-hard edge here on her lip. Actually, no, just like a little dark right here. I'm going to be further away because it's nice and soft here. So you see I'm going to be nice and far away. Let's come in with the dark mixture really quick. And we're just going to be a good distance away. And we're just going to just hit this dark on the bottom. Super fuzzy. I mean, super fuzzy all over the place. And that's what I liked about this photo, that it was just a very, by a photographer's standpoint, it's not a good photo, but for what I want and the emotion I wanted from this painting, the reference was perfect. Okay, so let's see what kind of. Oh, so our art dude says, where do I get my inks? I make them myself, my friend, and they're on my website. So if anyone's interested in my inks, you can go to this website here. I'll type it in for you, and they're real inexpensive. I make the inks to really not make money on the artist, and so paintingglyphs.com, you check it out there, and you see I have sell the inks and everything that you use for this technique. So it's all under one roof. I'll put it all together and save you tons of money on shipping. So that's something to think about, you know. And let me go ahead and calm down this value right here. Super subtle. So for the bottom teeth, I'm going to calm down that value. Oh, thanks so much, Brad. I appreciate that. So you see I'm dusting the larger areas, and let's continue bringing those darks down. As you can see, now we can come in with the dark mixture yet again and just come down a straight line, and we can see we have a nice dark over here. And we have a nice dark over here. Right over here, we have a dark with the hair. Definitely with the freehand shield here, and we'll do that perpendicular and not parallel. Now if you're going like this and the air is sort of lifting up your freehand shield, just tilt it a little bit up, and that solves that problem perfectly. See that? Now I darkened that edge there. Right over here, wipe that freehand shield off. perpendicular, not parallel, and the 1 second rule. Do those two things and your life will become a lot easier, okay? You can crawl along the surface as I'm doing there. There we go. So you see how we're just coming down and just giving the dark, yes, the dark mixture really does, and that's really great, you know. I do ship to Canada and the UK, and that's really fantastic, and I'll ship to all over Europe, so there's really, in the UK, if I ship it, it's only $5.99 shipping, so that's unheard of. So that's a really great value I have, because a lot of people in the UK can't get things from the States without paying tons of money for shipping. But I'm only charging $5, $5.99 I think. So I love how it starts coming together slowly, but it is coming together. And the fact is that this is a kind of a fuzzy photo, so I'm kind of going for that. Arizona, no problem. That's still only $5.99. So, I mean, it's probably one of the best deals for shipping. But I do that because I always want to, help out the artist, you know? Being an artist myself, that's a good thing. See, when it gets more subtle, I'm going to increase my distance. Now, what do you guys think of the Airbrush diaries? Let me know what you think of them. I just put another one up today. And we're pretty soon going to start coming in with some eraser techniques, but not just yet. And as you can see here, we can darken up this area. So there are darks within the darks and lights within the lights, right? So it's like a shape is not just a shape and then you can go on your own merry way. You have to look and see exactly what's happening. A lot of times there's complexity within those shapes, and our job is to find that complexity and put it in, but not necessarily right away. You want to build up the complexity. You don't want to try and hit that right away. Oh, thanks, Steve. So Steve says he likes the backstories. I appreciate that. Yeah, you know, that's one of the things I want to try and be informative and show some things that I don't show in the live streams, or maybe talk about it, but also try and be as entertaining as possible with some really cool music, some cool food, you know, maybe take you on trips with me, you know, to Walmart, that sort of thing. I know it might sound like, oh, what does it have to do with airbrush? It doesn't, but it just sort of, for me, I like sharing my life, and like Steve said, the backstory, you know, and those are videos that I enjoy on YouTube. When I see things like Casey Neistat where, you know, he just did a video blog every day, and basically over the course of a year of doing it every day, you got to know him, and then all of a sudden I was looking forward to them because I felt like I knew him. I didn't know him, but I knew about, you know, his personality, stuff like that. So that's what I want to do. You know, this way, if someone wants to study with me, they could watch my art diary and say, you know what, I would get along with him, and yeah, I would want to study with him for whatever reason. They feel like we would click. So that's another reason too. And what an interesting time of the world, right? In history. I mean, could you imagine if Vermeer or Rembrandt did that, right? Just sort of hung out and made cookies with you, even though he's Rembrandt. I like to see what his favorite cookies were. Now, I think I might have gotten a little overzealous over here, so let's see if we can just calm this down a little bit with the kneaded eraser. Sometimes a hair will get in your kneaded eraser, and that's like really difficult to get it out. There we go. And just calm that down a little bit, and we'll come back and we'll go back into that. So now we can erase a little bit with the mono eraser, because remember, you want to do the least aggressive eraser as possible. So that's what we're going to do. Almost like little dagger strokes. And then we can dust back. Same thing here. We can do little tiny dagger strokes. Happy trees. And the 1 second rule is your friend. It's your friend, it's my friend. So one of the reasons why I decided as well, my guess is I'm shedding. Sometimes I think I am, my friend. Sometimes I think I am. And Steve says, Mike, he's looking forward to winters there, though, in Ohio, from New England, where we rolled a hurricane. Yeah, from hurricane season to blizzard. You got that right. That's how it is in the Northeast, right, Steve? Well, you got those those lake effect storms, don't you, over there in Ohio, right, guys? A little lighter here. And we may come in with the medium mixture real fast. Oh, thanks, John. So John says he thought that the airbrush diaries are good. Thanks, John. I just saw your message, and I appreciate that. And so that's cool. Sometimes I'm a little behind. I don't catch. I'm busy doing this stuff, and I forget about you guys. So I do apologize. So we're in the medium mixture. And so right here, we have a dark of the lip that's coming down ever so lightly right there. And right here, we have some value coming on. And if you ever see that it's not coming out, usually there's two things. First thing could be tip dry. Second thing is you blow out your airbrush. So look here in the little screen, you'll see that I'm going to loosen the chucking nut, hold down the air but not pull back, and I'm just going to pull back the needle. And you see those couple of bursts, that's going to shoot out full power, And then I put the needle back to the front, very important, and tighten the chucking nut. And then, you know, when it was really getting sluggish, that's how you solve the problem. So remember that. That's something you should write down. When you feel that the airbrush is just not performing the way it is, needle, tip dry, and then of course, you know, blow out the airbrush. And that is the extreme reason why I changed it with the Sotar backing and got rid of that needle guide back there. You know, so that's the reason. So there's always a reason for my madness. So always remember that. Okay, so now that I darken things up, I can see that this right here is much darker. It's not light at all. So I'm gonna actually be about 6 inches, and I'm just gonna dust this area of the cheek here. See that? I'm gonna dust that down. Now right here, I'm going to dust, but I'm going to be about 7 inches from the subject. And I'm just going to slowly dust things down. And then we can come back and, you know, start erasing and moving around, you know. That's true. Brad always says that. We don't know about snow. He's right. Remember, I was in Florida for 10 years, so I didn't know about snow even worse than I do now, or I knew less. Okay, so let's go ahead and work on this area here of the bridge of her nose. Now there are some very subtle shapes up here, and we're going to try and get that right now with the Mono Zero eraser. And then later, maybe not today, but maybe next week, we're going to go in with the paintbrush and start attacking some very detailed areas. But the way that what attracted me to this painting was that it was just soft all over and very few soft, hard details. It just was soft, and I feel it was soft like the pose, like how I was feeling about her, you know, when I looked at this particular painting. So let's calm this down. When I'm dusting, I'm at least 3 inches from the subject. Okay, water break. So it's 10:30. We finished our first hour of the 2. As you can see, I'm dying of thirst. Don't know why. Okay, let's make hour number 2 happen, shall we? Okay, so we are coming with the eraser here, and we're just going to sculpt out some of the lights. So when I'm doing these live streams, it's how I work, but and a lot, you know, I'm trying to keep like a certain amount, how do I say, trying to keep a certain amount of clarity in my steps, because I don't want to confuse anybody and I want you guys to learn from. When I'm on my own, my mind is thinking much faster and things are happening much quicker. But that's okay, because you'll get there, no rush. So as you see, as I'm darkening areas down, you can definitely see that the midtones are actually going to get deeper as well and darker. So forgive me for the noise of the fan, but I need it. And so if you hear a little bit of a rumbling, my apologies. I'll turn it off in a sec. And you see, as I'm coming in with the kneaded eraser, I'm softening things up. And also with the mono eraser, I could actually set up some of those details, like here in the eye. So someone asked me, like, how come when I'm putting in the white pastel, I'm getting a blue shift? And the reason you're getting a blue shift is because you're not setting up those highlights, meaning you're plowing the field, so to speak. So you're removing the area where the white pastel is going to go. And you're not necessarily going to be removing all of the ink, but you're going to remove as much ink as possible. So when you put in that white pastel, you won't have any blue shift. Because blue shift is just a fact of life when it comes to airbrushing and drawing and everything like that. That's just the way it goes. And you have to live with it, and we have to learn, like a chess player, to play 6 moves ahead. I'm making this move for several moves ahead. So that's the kind of thinking I want you to have. So look, it's starting to come through anyway, but that's even before the pastel has made its appearance. So you see things are starting to come together a little bit. And oh, Patty, have a great night. Thank you so much. I hope you don't work too hard and take care of yourself. And thank you always for your wonderful comments on my videos and, you know, in the live streams. I appreciate that so much. And let's see. Okay. So we're doing pretty good now in number 2, I feel. And right here. And we may even dust over it again, just to, like I said, no one is going to get it right the first time. So my technique is, why do I paint the way I paint? Because I'm not going to get it right. I'm not going to get things right the first time, and I'm not going to get things perfect the first time. But if I keep going back and going from light to dark, I'll get a lot closer if I just said, oh, look, a dark value, let me get the dark mixture. Oh, look, a light value, let me get the light mixture. Oh, look, a medium value, let me get the medium mixture. That is a trap, because unless you're a painting savant, it's going to be much more difficult to just nail it immediately. You're going to have to play around with it and go slowly. At least that's my own opinion. I'm not saying that, you know, there's not, you know, you can't do it the other way, but it's much harder, right? And I don't want you guys to do the hard way. I want you to do the most accurate way, you know? And I need to calm this down over here. There we go. And now looking at the reference, I'm going to come in with the medium mixture, and I need to kill back this part of her eye. And that when I erased, I got a little crazy, so I'm just going to darken that a little bit. Same thing over here. I got to let that dry, but I just realized something that I needed to do. So I need to darken the area of her nose, because when I come in with the highlights, I want to make that pop and bring that nose forward, right? Hey, Pierre, how you doing? Comment va-t-il? How's everything? So that is so great. Okay, now I'm going to dust over her teeth just yet again, because even though they're teeth, doesn't mean that they're white, correct? So we have to make sure that her teeth are actually inside behind her lips. So we have to make sure that we translate that, right? So the whole thing of being a painter is taking a two-dimensional surface and trying to make it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alexo. I appreciate it. Okay, so remember I said I was going to erase, so I let that dry. I'm going to take my kneaded eraser. Remember, always try the least aggressive eraser. When you do that, you don't kill the paper. So you want to be as, feel like you're erasing on her face, right? If you were erasing on this young lady's face, you would be as gentle as possible, and and that's what you want to be as well. You want to be super gentle. She's a lady, so you want to be gentle. Even when you're doing a male, you still want to be gentle. You don't want to rip his face up either. But you want to be a little more gentle with the ladies. So another reason why I've been doing these live streams, doing the videos, is because I felt I was starting to get a little camera shy. And I didn't like that. I didn't like the fact that I was starting to feel camera shy a little bit. And that kind of was kind of a wake up that, if I'm going to be effective, then I need to be more bold. And I want to make how-to videos, like full videos. And for me to do that, I'm going to have to be very comfortable behind the camera. So as you can see, this is one of the first live streams where I actually have me on the bottom corner. So those videos that I'm doing, the Airbrush diary, is already working. And so I know, like, when I start getting camera shy, I've been doing this since 2008, and there were times when I was camera shy and I just had to do a lot of videos in succession to break that bad habit. So that's another reason why I'm doing the Airbrush diaries. So Willie's not here today. I hope Willie's fine. So this lip here is a little soft edged, and I'm going to try and establish that a little bit more. So let's see if we can do that. And there's no rush for that. I just want to start establishing a soft edge here. And I'm just going to dust that down just a little bit. So I've been doing a lot of smoothies with spinach and fruit lately, and now I am actually starting to do vegetable juice again, so that felt good. So any of you guys do vegetable juicing out there? Now over here I can see I'm much darker, so I'm going to darken this up. Go. And okay, right here we can darken up here, the corner of her mouth. And I definitely want to look at the anatomy of these shapes, meaning what are they doing and why, and where is it darker and where does it get softer. And also, what is the value range? So it's not just hitting the value, but the value range in the environment that it's in, right? Is it dark or light? Is it far away from the value next to it? Those are things you really always want to take in consideration. Okay, so Oh, thank you, Brad. Brad said it's giving her depth. I appreciate that. So that's cool. Thank you, sir. And so whenever I'm painting, right, I'm always asking myself, Tim, where are you neglecting your painting, right? You know, where can you put more detail where you haven't? And so looking at this and where I am, I can definitely say I can come in darker here. And looking at my reference, I'm just going to come a little bit darker on the side plane of her nose here. Go. And then it just sort of fades out over here like that. Wow, you have anvils. The only anvils I think I ever seen were the ones that Bugs Bunny dropped on Yosemite Sam's head. I'm a city boy. I don't even know if I even seen an anvil. But I know Bugs Bunny always had a lot of them, you know? I mean, he always had all these anvils dropping on people's heads. So I hear they're pretty heavy, right, guys? Oh yeah, well Roadrunner too. But see, when the Roadrunner dropped, no, when Wile E. Coyote dropped the anvil, somehow it always ended up hitting him on the head. Bringing back fond memories. Wow, they were kind of violent, weren't they? That's true. Yeah, Acme. Acme rocket boots or rocket shoes, right? Too funny. I can't tell you all the countless hours as a kid I would sit in front of the TV and watch the watch all that violence, and you know, I'm surprised I didn't drop an anvil on my brother's head, you know. Let me dust this down a little bit. Go. And let's see. So we're going to go back in with the dark mixture once again, and do another layer here because we can. Make my reference bigger so I'm on the same page. So the thing is, I don't want to look at my image on the screen when I'm looking at my painting. I want to look at the painting that actually is in front of me. And we'll move on over to the other eye. And we'll just darken that up some more. And like I said, do not be in a rush to get them dark, you know? Don't try and get it as dark as it's going to be at that one shot. Is there a reason for it? There isn't. So build it up. Go slow. Bring it up together with the surrounding values. And this way you know that you're going to arrive with a painting that's going to have a sort of tapestry that's correct. This is a fuzzy image, so you don't have to worry about, you definitely don't have to worry about sharp edges or anything. It's pretty fuzzy image. So you see how we are darkening different areas and going over it again. Remember, with transparents, every layer you put on, a subsequent layer gets darker and darker. So you can get there next time around. Don't worry about it. Let's come back in with the medium mixture. And you can see the original white is way too white. So I'm going to dust over that. Now you start seeing things darkening and flattening out a little bit, because when we come in to yet another layer of the dark mixture and then with the white pastel, things are really going to happen. But that's several moves away. So trust me, it's going to come together. So you have to trust the process. Really, it really is important to do that, you know. Oh, Rocky and Bullwinkle, yeah. And so Brad says, yes, we had them, but not too often, no. Not too often. Oh, so that's true. That is funny, right? That the Roadrunner is not as fast as the Coyote. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's true. I think the news didn't get all the stories, but I know my brothers tried doing some things like they learned from the cartoons, but it didn't always make the news. They got their butts kicked by my mom, but it didn't make the news. Here, we're just going to slowly darken that up. I want to darken this area up too, this edge. And the value difference is a little, see how the value difference right there was a little high. So we just have to calm this down a little bit. Calm down some of these hairs here. It's a lot darker. We'll set up for the highlights later. So I'm working on some of the larger shapes here, although they looked white before, they weren't. And you see how things are starting to come together. I could come back with the eraser and lighten up some areas, right? And so as I darken it up, now watch how the hair starts to darken up, you know? Lippy the Lion, Dudley Do-Right, wow. Heckle and Jekyll, well, Woody Woodpecker was my favorite. I remember the one episode where he was talking about hair tonic, and he's like, it's made out of a special formula, CF. And he's like, what's CF? And he goes, chicken fat. So I thought that was pretty funny. So, you know, the humor is amazing, and it kind of gave me a good sense of humor, I think, watching Bugs Bunny and Bugs Bunny and Woody Woodpecker. Not so much Tom and Jerry. I didn't like them. They weren't very verbal. I didn't like, I wasn't crazy about Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote because they didn't talk. And even as a young kid, I wanted dialogue. See how everything is starting to just sort of come together slowly, very slowly. Now right up here it's a little bit lighter, so we can use our kneaded eraser. Remember, soft first, right? You don't want to go in with your 7058 Faber-Castell and start tearing up the paper if you don't have to, right? That's the last resort. So you see right now I'm just going to soften up some areas. Pull out some lights, and I'm going to use the least aggressive eraser to do so. And I'm going to go back in and I'm going to reestablish some areas, but now it's not this like real powerful white there, right? I calmed it down a lot, and let me calm this down just by ever so lightly. Just bringing that together. Now I want to be more succinct with this, so I'm just going to use my Mono 0. And then when I come in white, I did like Ricochet Rabbit. He was pretty cool. And Quick Draw McGraw was good. I liked him. Magilla Gorilla, now that was good. I used to watch that a lot. With that little girl, she was so cute. I even liked girls when I was little. As Woody Allen says, even Freud talks about a latency period, and he says, I didn't have a latency period, and I don't think I had a latency period either. So just slowly defining the value, the tapestry of not only values but how they are next to one another. And 1 second roll really helps. And these lights that you see are nothing compared to what's going to be when we come in with that white pastel next week. Maybe later today. Right now it's 10:58. Maybe I can start pulling out some of that white just to pop things out and make part 5 interesting. So, you have to be patient, whether it's my technique or someone else's technique. Patience is everything. Don't get emotional about it. Don't paint the likeness, paint the light. That's what you want to do. Don't paint the likeness, paint the light. And there are some times where you'll get too harsh, like I just did. You're like, oh, I got too harsh. It's okay. You can deal with it. I have the medium mixture, and I'm going to be about 5 inches away, and I'm just going to dust over that, and you see I can just calm that down. Just ever so slightly. Let that dry and go back to it. Just setting up for the white coming up. Now right here I can see that I'm going to dust over here, a little strong over here. I'm going to be about 7 inches away, and I'm going to dust right to the right of the Cupid's bow. See that? I'm just going to dust it because it got a little crazy, got a little overzealous. That happens. Exactly. Push, pull, right. Going in, going out. Putting in, taking away until you actually nail it, So that's pretty cool. Mike S says he gets super emotional when he paints. He cries when he gets it perfect and cries when he screws up. Oh, well, that's okay. As long as, the process is a cathartic thing, right, Mike? So, we just have to enjoy the process. I think that's important. And not be so worried about how it comes out. And do our best. Take notes and learn from our last painting and try and apply what we learned from our last painting on the subsequent painting, the one right after it. So whatever you learn from this painting, make your very next painting about what you learned, about what you wish you did differently with this painting. And that's a pragmatic approach to definitely get better, because each painting you're working on what went wrong in the painting before it. Back in the medium mixture, I'm going to come down like so, right? I'm going to wait for that to dry, a little overzealous over here, and we're going to fix that. That's right. You don't want to exert ourselves when we're painting. Nice. Okay, so I see where this is a job for the dark mixture. I'm going to come in here. See, because you see some of this, and it's very nondescript, right? Don't put in detail when you don't see it, and don't put in any lines if you see it fuzzy in the reference. So those are things you always want to look for. Yeah, that's a sad moment when we bend our airbrush needle. Hopefully we have a spare always on hand, right? And this way you can continue painting. I don't care right now whether it looks like her, and that's not my concern right now. My concern right now is the value tapestry and just getting that correct and setting up for the white mixture. As you can see, the hair is going to come. We're going to have fun with the hair, but right now we were working on, her lips and the skin of her face. Okay, so now's time for the white pastel. Drum roll, please. And let's make this happen. So what we're going to do is, you see here, let's see if I can show you. Basically, we'll deposit the pastel onto the sandpaper, and then you get one of your little stumps, tortillas, tomato, and then what we're going to do is we're going to start by putting in the light. Here we're still doing the 1 second rule, guys. So I want you to think Rembrandt, I want you to think Vermeer, and if you don't know who those guys are, I want that to be your homework. Google the paintings of Vermeer, Google the paintings of Rembrandt, Google the paintings of Hans Holbein the Younger. I want you to be looking at those guys. That's where you find out how to paint like an old master, Oh, so Mike says, too bad we can't get a huge discount on Badger buying like 30 to 50 needles and nozzles at a time. I would actually write USAAirBrushSupply.com and maybe they could hook us up. So I'm going to ask Ken to come back to one of our live streams and we'll have a Q&A. So that would be a lot of fun. So So as you can see, look as I'm putting in the white here, as things are starting to pop. You know, all the hard work and those decisions I was making now pays off. Not before, now, you know? And so I'm just looking for very, very large areas of white now. I'm not getting too far into detail. Yeah, there is a Rembrandt toothpaste, Mike. Yes, but he's an amazing painter from from the Amsterdam area, definitely. I think he's from Leiden, actually. But he's a Dutch painter. And he's one of the best portrait painters that ever lived. And that's basically where we learn to paint what we see, but to be artistic about it and not so literal all the time. And to really understand, because he painted light, you know? Oh, Brad says I'm gonna make it look better than the reference. I appreciate that, sir. I hope I do her justice. Now here you're going to see I'm going to start with doing something different, actually rubbing the pastel into the paper. And what that does, it creates a variation in the value shapes. And this finally where I can go ahead and soften up that edge on the lip. So you have to be patient, you know. If you can't get that edge, don't worry, you'll get there, you know. So just let it happen slowly. A plan works out when we let it work out, right? If you're a football player and, you know, their game plan is to run the ball, but they fall behind and then they start throwing the ball all the time and then they lose by 30 points. The moral of that is that if your game plan is to run the ball, then run it the whole way. Same thing, if your game plan is to build up values slowly, then build them up slowly. And don't lose faith in your game plan just because you're not getting a likeness. Am I right? So that's something you want to really pay attention to. And I'm just moving around very quickly here. I could just tap it down and maybe help out this edge a little bit. There we go. I'm going to put my glove on the right side again because I don't want to deposit any oils from my hand. Hey Angel, ¿cómo estás? How's it going, my friend? Good to see you. Thank you so much for coming by. Over here is an area that we can definitely smooth out. And you'll see that the white pastel is a great smoothing agent, not just for highlights, but just smoothing out some of those values, right? And look how it did that so perfectly. Same thing here. So you're seeing light values within the shadows, and you're able to put that in. and then keep moving around. And hey, what's up? Wendy's back. Very cool. Now we're just going to continue, and I'm not going to worry about a likeness or anything like that. I'm just looking at the game plan of refining shapes and hitting values the best I can. And you see, I'm actually getting rid of a lot of the harshness right now by rubbing the white pastel into the surface. Wendy said it took her longer to get home than she thought. Wow. So, Angel, how's the weather in Puerto Rico today? Where are you, San Juan or Ponce? There we go. And let's move on down and see if we could work by this lower lip area. Before I do that, I just want to adjust that. And then we're going to come back in again with some airbrush over here. We're just going to lighten up and go back over it, and then just create subtleties that weren't there before. Okay, and let's just dust over this just a little bit. And then we'll come back in with the medium mixture. Oh wow, the rainy season over there. Wow. And that's Umacao? Is that how you say that, my friend? There we go. See, I'm just going to dust over that. Bring that light coming up over here as well. Yeah, Brad says the extreme patriots will never see ink. That's true. So Angel says he's having a problem with the airbrush. I think it's because he's not using real airbrush paints. No such thing as real airbrush paints, my friend. It's just whether or not they're thin enough to go through the airbrush. And one of the things, Angel, is that my India inks, I even ship them to Puerto Rico, they have the exact consistency needed to work perfectly with your airbrush. Remember, your airbrush has a tiny little nozzle and a tiny air regulator, and you only have so much pressure going through. So paints that are too thick are going to cause trouble. But my inks are the perfect thin viscosity, and you have hardly any tip dry, and also your control is unbelievable. So once you work with inks, you're going to be very happy that you made the switch. And then working with my inks, you'll learn about what makes good viscosity for an airbrush, right? So that's going to help you down the line, you know? Oh, great, Mike. That's fantastic. I love that airbrush. I never got a chance to play with it, but it looks like a beautiful airbrush, Mike. Okay, so you see we're getting there slowly, no rush whatsoever. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to see if I can work on those lips there. Maybe we can put some white in her lips here. So bring that out. While we're here, right? So I'm going to plow the field first, and let's get out Mr. Fonz and Porter, which are available on my website, and that's paintedglyphs.com, along with the inks, right? Yeah, so Mike says that it's a real work of art, the Harder and Steenbeck. That's great. So look how this highlight on the lip is really going to pop now. So once that's done, then we can come back in with the medium mixture, and oh wow, I really hope you don't get hit with that hurricane there, Angel. That's so scary. You guys had enough hurricanes over the last couple of years. So you see, as I darken around this highlight, I really wanted to pop out. Everything is very soft edged on this. Kind of reminds me of Vermeer's Girl with a Pearl Earring. And I think that's one of the reasons I was attracted to this pose. And I went into Critter and I actually made it even softer. And always look and make sure and see areas where you could have been a little overzealous, and you can always calm that down. Like in here. Even with the white pastel, we can come in and put some luminosity in those lips there. I think that's my own word, luminosity, but I like it. So I don't think it's in the English language, but I've been using luminosity for quite some time, even though it's not a word. Okay, now let's see if we can slowly put in oh yeah, that'd be true if you get into those doing stuff like Steve does. He's amazing. You know, I love his live streams that are every Saturday night, right, Steve? No, not every Saturday. Every Monday at 6. What am I talking about? I don't think anyone's live streaming on Saturday night, right? That's like really late. See how I'm just softly getting some of that value in her. in her mouth there. Very cute. Very beautiful. I might come in with the light mixture later and define those teeth a little bit more, but we don't because it's actually very soft edged. Mr. Fonz and Porter is making his appearance once again. Here we go. There we go, Mr. Fonz and Porter. And of course, that's going to soften up. So now, you know, we did a lot of lightening up here and there, and now we just got to go back in again and pull out some of these midtones once more. See how right here you're always looking, you're looking and seeing if things are, you know, really looking at a place as far as value, and when they do, you immediately knock them back down, because if you don't, they'll oh, beginners are welcome, that's for sure, and that's the best way. So any pointers, you let me know, and I'll be more than happy to help you out, guys. So, and also there's a lot of people here are very helpful angels, so definitely listen to the people here. They're all very nice, and it's great. They all have great advice, and they all have a lot of experience, so that's cool. That's the one thing about the airbrush community. Everyone is very helpful to beginners. Okay, so we have some light hairs here. We can come in with the white pastel. See how I'm painting the hair just as big shapes and then going smaller and smaller? But Angel, I wouldn't recommend using Create Text right away. That's just, you know, that's just, you know, I would definitely, if you don't want to use my inks, there's other inks out there. But I think Create Text is really just shooting yourself in the foot in the beginning. You know what I mean? So that's something to, you know, there are some good inks out there. There is P.H. Martin's inks. I definitely would use them. over Create Text in the early going. They're just too thick, you know, and I don't think they're good to start with. I mean, they're great paints. I love Create Text. I think they're fantastic. But to start out, I think they're really difficult. And I'm going to come back with my Mono 0, and I'm going to start sketching out some of that hair here. Everything is interdependent on everything else, right? So the hair is interdependent on the face, on the darks of the face. The darks of the face dependent on the mid-tones, and then the mid-tones are dependent on the lights, and the lights dependent on the highlights. So everything pretty much is a balancing act, and that's how you have to look at it. So like I said, the least aggressive eraser first, and when you have to get more aggressive, then do so. But don't start going in with the 7058 right away. There's no reason for it. It's like hunting a bunny rabbit with an elephant gun, right? You don't do it. Now, I already know there's some places where I'm going to come back in with the light mixture, okay? So that's my thinking in the future. So we're at 11:26. We're getting close to the end of today's session, and I'm feeling good about our progress, you know. So next week's going to be part 6, and we're going to actually come even deeper. We're going to work on her hair, deepen the hair, and then you'll see once we darken the hair, a lot of the face is going to need to be darkened as well. So that's pretty cool. Freehand shield to get this really nice dark here. Going to crawl along that surface. See that? Hey Todd, have a great night, my friend. And Brad, have a great night. Thank you so much for hanging out. So we are at 11:28, and always thank you, Brad, for that vote of confidence. I appreciate that, sir. So as I darken the darks of the hair, you'll see that I have to darken some of the adjacent skin areas, right? See how that works out? And also I can dust here and even darken further the forehead and over here as well. Well, thank you, Angel. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Have a great night, my guests. Have a great night, John. We are at 11:29. I always give you the full 2 hours, don't I, guys? Because I know you guys are gluttons for punishment. There we go. So I'm feeling really cool. And thank you. It's a really nice pic, so I definitely will email you back, sir. And I appreciate all your ideas. Steve, thank you so much. I appreciate that. We hit 11:30. That means the live stream is over, and I hope you guys have a great week. I will talk to you next Wednesday, but be on the look for my Airbrush diary that's on this YouTube channel as well. Take care, everybody. I hope you have a great night. Bye, guys.